All right, we're live. Another week where Dunaway and I are diving in to do a live postgame here because Auburn has lost. This time in more spectacular fashion. This has to be the most painful loss, 27-21 to Oklahoma of the three this year. The Cal game, you just played awful. The Arkansas game, you just played awful. You controlled this game. Auburn controlled this from the first possession where Oklahoma ran down the field and scored. From that point on, Dunaway, they controlled the game.
Brown, 482 yards against a Brent Venables defense. Oklahoma had 291 yards. So you almost have 200 more yards than them, and you lose this football game. And I don't know how it happened. I was getting ready what am I going to say? It's Hugh Freeze's best win yet as a head coach because Oklahoma's ranked, though they seem to be playing one-handed with their quarterback who doesn't have much of a passing attack. And then all of a sudden he slings 163 yards downfield. I don't blame the DB for getting beat because he's probably lulled to sleep all day having to play the run. And then Peyton Thorne throws that pick six, which is just mind-blowing. All I could do was sit here and say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It was an unbelievable sequence. And I can't wait to hear what Hugh says afterwards, what Peyton Thorne says afterwards, because I go back to early in the fourth quarter with about 10 minutes and change to go and a timeout on a third down because the clock's about to run out. And Hugh Freeze just lights into Peyton Thorne because
Peyton gave some back. That was animated.
Yeah, you had thrown the ball the last two, and he pointed at the clock, like the scoreboard, like we need to be running the clock. And if you don't understand run pass option, you don't always have to do the pass option, but sometimes it's there. So I take that as Hughes now playing to run out the clock. So from that point forward on, it was one hand tied behind your back offensively for Auburn, where Peyton Thorne was looking to run, and then you have to throw that pass there. And that Brent Venables set it up on that dropping the linebacker into the slant hot route, and then he outran everybody and got the pick six, which makes it even crazier because even if you just make the tackle, there's no guarantee that Oklahoma can get it.
No, not with Oklahoma's offense. Lawrence says Thorne has to be done at this point. Thorne played his best game. I don't think Thorne's done at this point. So you're going to go back to Hank Brown in Athens next week? Is that what you're going to do?
21 of 32, 338 yards passing, 3 touchdowns.
And a bad pick. That's a bad pick.
It's a bad pick, but I don't want to say this, but to me, it seems like it was a coaching problem. You're winning the game. What was it, 21-10?
Yep.
And basically you chew his ass out on national TV in front of everybody in the stadium for really not holding the gas pedal down anymore. So with a whole quarter of SEC football to play, you're playing to run out the clock at 21-10. And then everything else after that was wait till it gets to 1 second until you snap and run the football. And you got to that situation. And it was a horrible interception. It's just, I just don't, I don't coach. But if you're up 21-10, you're the aggressor, man. You don't have to be doing crazy stuff, but keep playing your offense, man, with a whole quarter to play.
Yeah, Cody agrees with you. Didn't understand the entire fourth quarter play calling, he says. I was trying to find this because this goes back to something in one of our internal text threads that we have going. Hunter was running hard. I told you Hunter's going to finish the game with 17 carries. And to me, 17 carries, 97 yards, that's near criminal right there.
But you go back to the first time in the red zone, Brown, it was 1st and goal at the 6.
Fourth down call.
And he didn't touch the ball.
I know.
He didn't touch the ball.
And you go to Sam Jackson on that 4th down, who's, how big is he? 5'9"?
Yeah.
That guy is
came
tiny.
In and ran 2. He ran twice.
I know. And you run him on 4th and goal where it's going to be packed in the middle. Yards in the middle are going to be, or a yard in the middle is going to be tough to come by. And you don't give it to Hunter or Alston, who are big bodies. You run that little guy trying to, sneak him through a hole, and Oklahoma stopped him on 4th and goal. That ends up being that's an incredibly critical miss.
If I just asked you, if I hand the ball off to Jarquez Hunter 3 plays, do you think he can get 6 yards?
Yes. Yeah, and if not, I come away from there and say I gave it to my best guy for 3 plays.
That's right, and we kick a field goal. And when
Yeah,
you kick a
Zach
field
Alley.
goal,
They were talking about Zach Alley, the defensive coordinator, by the way, that went to Oklahoma from Jacksonville State. He was at Jacksonville State. He's now the Oklahoma defensive coordinator. And he said to them this week, when he's on the field, Jarquez Hunter's the best player on the field, no matter who else is on there. When I watch film, that's the best player on the field. That guy touched it 17 times today. And as you were just talking about, he did not touch it. And one of the most critical moments now was early in the game, but still, I mean, when you're Auburn, you cannot leave points on the field. You're not good enough to overcome that.
Yeah, especially with a field goal kicker I mean, no knock on the kicker, but he is not up to what Auburn standards usually is at
Well, he's
kicking
the
football.
backup too. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the backup, to be fair.
Yeah.
Let's
But
see.
you let a team that just threw the ball 15 times for 161 yards. Now, one of them was a big one, for 60 yards, and one was, I mean, 10 completions. One was 60 and one was 35 yards.
Yep. Charlie, lifelong Auburn fan, he does not want to hear any player blaming after this. Hand the ball off. Hugh caught a lot of heat for that last year. So I think it will be interesting to see how he handles this post game based on everything he said last week and some of the blowback on that.
Oh, if you don't think, I mean, if you're that animated to start the fourth quarter, you don't think it's going to be a situation where he says, we made some bad decisions early on in the quarter where we weren't running clock, and then that interception. I mean, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal.
It is going to be a big deal. By the way, thebarnauburn.com. For all of our Auburn coverage, Dunaway and I are only going to be here a few minutes. We're not staying long, but you can swing over to thebarnauburn.com and get a full post-game reaction from Kyle Rush. Join for $1. That's going to be free over at thebarnauburn.com and thebarnauburn YouTube page. But you can join the website for $1 and enjoy the message board. I'm sure it is like liquid nitrogen. Is that hot? It's lava. It is lava hot right now, that message board.
I bet it's cooking.
Yeah, I'm looking at my phone to see if we get the text, the company text like, hey, thebarnauburn.com has crashed. It has crashed, guys, because I'm sure people are rushing over there to give their thoughts. You can do it at thebarnauburn.com. Today's a good day. Join for $1. Give your thoughts. See what you think.
Yeah, I mean, but finally, you had for Auburn today, you had Cam Coleman with 82 yards receiving, KLS with 77, Fairweather with 71, Malcolm Simmons with 61, Robert Lewis with 22. I mean, a completion of 42, a completion of 31, a completion of 43, a completion of 48. This was the passing game you expected. And then at the end, you're doing all of that, and then you say, all right, that's 3/4 of good offensive football. Let's all whoa. Let's don't keep doing that. Let's try to milk this clock. Let's milk this clock.
Steven says there seems to be a lot of tension between Thorne and Freeze. So on that situation you're talking about, he calls the timeout. The ball had already been snapped to Thorne. He basically sprints to the sideline. Well, he had already from the field looked over and yelled at Freeze. Did you catch that?
Yeah, because he
said, looks at him and
the clock. I was going to snap it at 1 second.
Yeah. Well, but before even that, he looks at him and he's pointing to that spot and he's yelling back at Freeze like, I threw it where he was supposed to be. I don't know what he said, but he's yelling something at Freeze. Yeah. So then the clock's running down. He gets the ball and he's running with the ball to the sidelines, and Freeze and he are already yelling at each other. And then when they get over there, it's a pretty animated exchange. Like, I don't know that I would say Thorne crossed the line with a coach. I'm not suggesting that, but I am saying that was a pretty animated exchange between a quarterback and a coach.
No, you can tell it was because of the assistants who were
That's right,
inch in between them a little bit because they didn't want anything else for it to flare up any at all. So just the body language of the assistants who's around them all the time, you just knew by what they were doing there that wasn't of the normal conversation that they see at practices and stuff. My mind is blown how this game got lost.
Mine too. You're 21-10, and Oklahoma's offense was awful today.
Yep.
They are no good on offense. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know people are here for Auburn, but let's just real quick. What is Jackson Arnold going to do? I mean, if you stood on the sideline and watched your offense be that bad, and you don't get to play in this game.
That's right.
I mean, what are you going to do, man? Would you punch out and go?
They were playing one-handed, right? Because there was no threat of him throwing the ball until he had to throw the ball at the end. And they ran the ball either with Hawkins 14 times or Javante Barnes 18 times. Nobody else ran the ball. The receivers, we know the injury report, eight wide receivers out. They had Hester catch the ball, Sharp caught the ball, Thompson caught the ball, Petway caught the ball. So you had six guys who made plays today for Oklahoma, officially in the stats. 2 guys ran it. One of those guys running it was also the quarterback, and 4 guys caught passes.
Yeah.
That was Oklahoma's offense.
And they were able to go on the road and win an SEC game with a freshman making his first start ever in a hostile environment. I mean, give Auburn fans credit. They haven't packed it in.
The Auburn fans win every game. I mean, bless their hearts. I mean,
well,
you can't blame anything. You can't blame anything on those people ever. They lay it out there every freaking time.
Yeah. And boy, it is moving fast. A lot of criticism of Freeze here, Jim, in the mybookie.ag chat room. Bo says, we've seen this movie before. Coordinators fired at the end of the year. Board of Trustees voted confidence in Freeze, hiring a coach in December. I don't think you're going to get quite there yet, but he has already fired coordinators.
No,
but he's the offensive coordinator. He's calling plays.
That's right. And remember that the people who are the influential boosters, the Board of Trustees people, these are the people that chose Hugh Freeze. These are the Hugh Freeze people. So right. He is not on the hot seat.
JR over on Facebook, if you're upset with him pulling it, why are you calling RPOs in those situations? I kind of agree with that.
That's right.
Just call runs. Like if you don't want him to throw the ball, don't give him an option.
Exactly. Just, hey, we're going to run. And you got speakers in the ear. Hey, there's no run pass option here. Just hand it to Jarquez.
Yeah. The PO is gone. It is an R. It is not an RPO. There is no PO here. It is an R. Just run the football.
We're calling an R here. Forget the PO. I don't know what else to say.
I really don't either.
You got the rest of this. I'm done. I've got nothing.
Alabama starts in 27 minutes and 52 seconds. TheBarnAuburn.com for a more intensive full post game from Kyle Rush and the guys there at TheBarnAuburn.com. Ole Miss got upset by Kentucky. UAB got run out of their own stadium by Navy. Been pretty exciting day. I mean, I've had entertaining. This 2:30 window was pretty good.
Yeah. Trent Dilfer with a unbelievable post-game comment. That
I know.
It blows my mind.
This guy's not ready for the big time.
If you missed it, it is. Can I reenact it?
Yeah, I don't know who the little kid is. That's the only problem. People are saying it's his son. I don't think he's got kids that age. I don't know who the little kid was.
Little kid crying could be his grandson. I don't know.
Could be grandson. Could be neighbor. Could be UAB fan.
Little kid crying in the back. And as the news conference is starting, and he's like, "Hey, he can come up here. There's only 2 people here. This isn't Alabama." I'm paraphrasing.
That's pretty much what he said. It's not like this is Alabama.
There's only two guys here. It's not out. He can come sit up here. I mean, interrupts the guy's question to say, "Hey, he can come up here." I know he's crying. Shouldn't be in here anyway because the kid in post-game news conference. But let him come on up here and sit up here by me because there's only 2 people here. It's not Alabama. Mm-hmm. I mean, could you say that? Could you take a more shot at your employer at that point?
You could not.
Yeah,
you absolutely could not.
We're going to go ahead and take. We're not going to do these last 30 minutes today of the show. It's not like we're ESPN or anything.
It's not like we're ESPN. Yeah, I mean, you say that after you've just been run out of your own stadium by Navy, and with all due respect to Navy, but you got run out of your stadium by Navy. You can find that on social media, though. Jeff says Dilfer's going after this year. All right, so we got 2 coaches on the hot seat here. Blake says, how about the Gus Bus breaking down against Colorado? All of a sudden, Colorado, what are they now, 4-1?
Yeah, right. That's over with, right?
It's virtually. I mean, it was a blowout.
Yeah, that's my upset alert. So it's going to get me back in the game because that's 19.5 for me right there.
That's a pretty big hit for you there, Jimmy D.
Yeah. I rode the circus into town.
Somebody was asking, it's moving too quick here, about a landmine. What was your landmine? I saw you retweet about it. What was your landmine?
It's a pretty big one.
Pretty big one. We're going to have to address this.
When I'm at home, I sort of help out with the social media, and I took Taylor's touchdown, the long one to KLS, and I said 2 first-half touchdowns from Peyton Thorne, looking good for our 9:30 interview Tuesday. And then on the pick 6, I just went back and quote tweeted that one and said, "Oh, no," with a lot of zeros and exclamation points.
That pick 6,
I could not believe it. I could not believe it.
I'm here in my sports room alone, but that pick 6, I just felt myself doing this. Like I could not believe he threw that pick 6.
I was screaming because Maggie's downstairs doing her midterm, and she's got headphones on. Nobody else is in the house, and I just started going, "Oh no!" Oh
I
God,
know.
oh God, oh God. And I said it 8 times as he ran down the field because I knew if they just tackled him or if there was a block in the back, chances
Yeah.
are they weren't going to score a touchdown. They were
Um,
equally as bad.
I know. NH3425 says KLS is the only consistent player for Auburn. Cam Coleman can make some big plays, but Cam Coleman's playing like a freshman. Cam Coleman is running wrong routes.
Yep.
There was that incompletion in the first half that was clearly on Cam Coleman.
Oh, that first
Uh,
drive, Brown. It's right there in his hands.
Yep, he's got
Right
bad hands.
for a first down, he drops it.
Yep.
Right, and then you give it to Oklahoma, who then gets that 60-yard touchdown run or whatever it was, where Michael Hawkins ran a 40 in 4.4 seconds with pads on through an Auburn defense, and you were like, oh my God. And it all started with him. I mean, nobody's perfect, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best receiver in the recruiting class, and he doesn't catch that pass. And I just was starting to think, and I was like, well, Peyton couldn't throw that any better, and people are going to blame this on Peyton Thorne. But in the end, he did throw the touchdown to the wrong team. So
That is true. I mean, you just felt like they'd avoided it all day. Like I'm sitting there thinking, boy, when this team doesn't turn it over,
yeah,
they're not that bad. I mean, they can run it a little bit. Peyton Thorne could complete some passes.
Again, Brown, 400. Let me get it again, but it was 400. And I mean, it's 482 yards. They almost had 500 yards of offense. I mean, I can go back and look at Tennessee real quick. Tennessee last week.
I bet it wasn't 500.
I thought I could do it faster than that, but here we go. Tennessee last week. I want to go team stats. Tennessee's offense last week, total yards, 345 yards. Tennessee's got an unbelievable offense, and Auburn had about 140 more yards than them.
Yeah. I mean, this does not compute how they lost this game. So, Jim, next week they're at Georgia. We're about to see what Georgia does against Alabama. But either way, that's a very, very difficult game for them between the hedges in Athens, where they have not won since. I think it's 99. Am I right about that? Is that right? 2005, something like that. Then they're at Missouri, and then they're at Kentucky. And you watch Kentucky today. That is a vicious defense.
Is there a bye week in there anywhere?
Yeah, there's one bye week in there. The bye week comes
hopefully
between
right now.
Georgia and Missouri.
Oh,
yeah, they play Georgia next week.
Georgia?
No. Georgia next week. Bye week, Missouri, Kentucky on the road, and then back home for Vanderbilt. They're about to start that stretch where they don't play a home game for a month, and then they'll come back home for Vanderbilt. But that's telling you, man. I don't see a lot of wins in there. When you're on the road at Georgia, when you're on the road at Missouri, and you're on the road at Kentucky, the way that defense is playing, it is hard to find wins on that schedule right now.
It is. It is. I got to do some video work.
All right.
I could be doing it right now, but I made the mistake of using the phone that I'm editing on. Got to send some pregame stuff out from EG, who's busting her butt over there.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever handled the social media side of this football Saturday. EG will send you about 62 videos from pregame, and they're all meaningful. She's working her butt off over there. And one week I had to do both the Alabama and the Auburn one because little T was out, and that was a handful. That was a lot of videos.
You can see all that at Next Round Live. So all the post game from Auburn at Next Round Live. We'll see what Hugh Freeze says. Scott handles all that. So anything from the Hugh Freeze news conference coming up at Next Round Live. Almost every week it seems like there's a cringy comment,
Scott's got great Lane Kiffin up from earlier today already.
Of course it does. Blake says, what about EG getting...
And probably already has great
Hugh Freeze.
Great Trent Dilfer up too, knowing that.
What about EG getting pulled over by Secret Service? That was just a security check.
No.
They were doing that for everyone. Her parking passes right at the stadium. So anybody that close, they're going to do a security check. So don't
How about checking the engine though and everything.
I know. Yeah, EG looks very threatening.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy when they said, "Okay, mash your brakes, honk your horn."
Ma'am, it looks like your cabin filter's a little dirty.
Can you see the Secret Service guy pulling out the, "Hey, ma'am, your air filter." I pulled it out to show you.
Look at it right here, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like an air filter to me, sir. All right, so thebarnauburn.com for postgame, thebarnauburn.com. We may be back here after Bama, Georgia. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's just see how that game goes. And if it calls for a postgame show, we'll do a postgame show. If it doesn't, we won't. We'll see. I mean, that's just kind of fly by the seat of our pants still. But thebarnauburn.com, Kyle and the gang there. And you can join for $1 right now at thebarnauburn.com. All right, enjoy Bama and Georgia. We will see you either after that game or 9 o'clock or Dunaway after dark tomorrow night, whatever. Whenever we see you next, we'll see you then. Please give this a thumbs up, share it. If you haven't, subscribe to our YouTube channel and set your alerts so you know when we're live on stuff like this. Do that right now too, please. That's awesome. All right, see ya. Everybody have a great night.